The opinions expressed by the host and guests in this show are not necessarily the views of Children's Health Defense.
Good morning, CHD. It is Friday, June the 12th, 2026. We're live here at CHD TV. I am just back from DC, but got in very late last night, and I'm delighted this morning to have Stephanie Weidel on with me, who was there in DC with me. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning, Polly. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we had just the wildest time in DC, did we not? I mean, phenomenal, all kinds of things going on. But I just want to start off with, because you were there when we showed Duty to Disobey in the Congressional Theatre, with so many important people there. I have to tell you, the viewers, it was quite something. Of all the documentaries we've made, I don't think we've ever had an impact like this Duty to Disobey. And it's not even really out yet.
That's so true. There were a lot of great people in the audience, very influential, especially in the military realm.
Yeah, talk to us about that, because you know these things. But just so everyone knows, Stephanie is from Feds for Freedom, which we love. And you were great when we were traveling on the bus. You were funneling stories to us, your organization. So we are so grateful to you for all the work that you do. But let's talk about Duty to Disobey. Actually, let's start with, what did you think of the documentary?
It was an excellently put together documentary. It was talking about the stories of the military personnel who were fighting the COVID shots. What I loved going into it, the very beginning of the film showed all of the advertisements of the military, how they portray service members, what the military should be doing. And it showed when everyone enters the military, that's what they want to be. They want to be strong, they want to be defending the Constitution, they want to be defending Americans. That's what their goal is going into the military. And quickly you saw, well, actually, the people entering the military are not afforded the same freedoms, or over time they've been not afforded the same freedoms they're actually fighting for. So that was a very interesting division made it very early on in the movie. The movie very clearly laid out that the mandate was illegal and why. It went into the health issues that people had as a result of taking the COVID shots, and it detailed the severe issues that people had not taking the shot and what that meant to their career. I mean, Mark Boucher had one of the worst stories. He was actually convicted of wrongdoing. He was on trial. He was a military officer, and now he's actually working at the Pentagon.
Yeah, it was quite incredible. But I mean, it's also the level of bullying in the
Yes.
made me so sad that these are the people that defend us, yet they are suffering deeply within the military. I mean, how they treat it. Honestly, viewers, you have to watch this documentary, because it really does. It's totally different from anything we've ever done before. It really does. It makes you feel sad, but also at the end, it sort of makes you feel hopeful, because they've kind of won with the people that stood firm.
Oh, absolutely, they won. I mean, they have their conscience intact. They
Yeah.
know that they were on the right side of history. They know that they are actually defending the freedoms by standing for their rights themselves. So I thought the last question asked on the film was, would you recommend anyone join the military at this point? That was a very profound question, and one that you brought up in the panel discussion afterward. And I think the resounding answer is, well, no, we would not recommend that anyone enter the military right now. And I would agree with that. I am just an everyday American citizen, and I have a son who is not vaccinated, And he is going to be very clear-eyed. He is very clear-eyed. And he does not have autism. He doesn't have ADD. He doesn't have any chronic issues. He is the healthiest little boy you can find. And he's smart and strong. He will not be joining the U.S. military. And so the question is why? Why are so many people not joining the military right now who come from military families? And it's because nothing's changed. So yes, there's been acknowledgement of the illegality of the mandate. Yes, there's been an apology. Yes, they're trying to bring people back in and make it right those records. But there's no change from the top. So we know this is going to happen again. And this is something I brought up in the panel discussion, was we just saw this happen again with the flu shots. There were dozens of military service members who just a month ago were going to be let go from the military over the flu shot. And fortunately, Hegseth put out a statement saying the flu shot mandate is off the table. It is no longer on the schedule. And yet, someone was actually fired. So my question is, and he was the day after brought back in, but my question is, what happened to those military officers that ended up firing him? Were they actually let go? Were they reprimanded in any way? Were they called into the office in the Pentagon? I mean, I have not heard that there has been any kind of accountability for those officers. So if this is still happening, what's the net shot that people are going to be released over? That's why people aren't going to join the military. I believe that the greatest national security threat to this country is really the lack of accountability from inside.
No, Stephanie, you're absolutely right. And just to quickly say before we move on, there was, as you said, very powerful people in the audience and on the panel. Of course, we had Senator Johnson there. We also had somebody from the Department of War there who was horrified by the film.
Yes. So there were several people from the Department of War in the audience. One was on the panel, Scott Duncan, who is within the Pentagon, spoke on the panel. But there were the heads of task forces in the audience in their personal capacity there. So there were a lot of people watching and listening, and I know those people. They're on our side. They want to right these wrongs. But the issue is so widespread. I think the harm done to the American people is so, not just service members, the American people, the loss of trust is so widespread. It's going to take a lot more than just bringing people back into the military to right the wrongs.
That's right. All right. Well, look, everybody, the 30th of June is for one night only. We are in theaters across America. So go to dutytodisobeyfilms.com and get your tickets. There's still tickets in certain areas. Look up the nearest one to you. Get those tickets. There'll be so many people from the military. Feds, you're going to be there. Feds for Freedom are going to be scattered around at their different locations, and Children's Health Defence as well. So we're looking forward to seeing you. We truly are. And I can't tell you enough how important it is that you see this film. Right. But that aside, Stephanie, tell us what's going on. And you've got a big event coming up.
We do on July 1st. That first week of July is the place to be is Washington, D.C. On June 30th, we're hosting one of the premieres of Duty to Disobey outside D.C. in Arlington, Virginia. And then July 1st, we're having a national security event at the Willard Hotel. It's titled National Security Beyond the Headlines. And we're basically looking at chronically overlooked national security issues that DC refuses to look at. And this really was launched after the glyphosate executive order in February of 2026, just a couple months ago, in which President Trump was promoting the protection of glyphosate in the name of national security. We couldn't believe it. And so we said, all right, let's look at the real national security concerns. Is glyphosate, in fact, not something to be protected in the name of national security, but is it actually a national security risk itself? And if you look at the data and the toxins in it, yeah, it is a national security concern. Then we're going to look at censorship, surveillance. Is the greater surveillance state an actual national security risk? Food and farming, our food security. Do we need to be looking there as a national security concern? Education, remember Common Core? We've gotten so far away from the foundation of this country of true education, teaching people how to be normally good citizens, that education can actually be a big national security concern. Also, health, looking at autism. That was my question with the military. Uh, um, are we going to see in 15, 20 years so many people have autism? What is that going to mean for the military? What is that going to mean for businesses?
Yeah.
Lack of accountability, and this is one of my favorite. We're going to have panels that day. Lack of accountability is my favorite panel. We're going to be discussing how the lack of accountability, the not dealing with the corruption and the illegal behavior from the government itself, that is the biggest national security concern. And our headliners at the conference are Joe Kent, Mike Benz, Dennis Kucinich, and Steve Baker talking about January 6th. We're going to have a great conference, and I encourage people to go on our website where they can get their tickets.
And look, you've got Dr. Nass. We love Dr. Nass.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
brilliant brain, so I'm so pleased you've got her. Now, but how do people sign up for this?
So they can go on their website, fedsforfreedom.org /national security. And we are going to, that's where they can get tickets, takes you straight to the Luma platform, which we are using to register. And so we've got a couple ticket options there, but it's a pretty low cost for what you're getting.
Stephanie, well, one last question. Why do you do what you do? Because you are right out there fighting so hard. You've got an amazing organization doing sterling work. But why do you do this?
I shouldn't be here. Like, that's what I keep telling people. This is not my background. And yet I saw vaccine injury up close in my own family with my first daughter. I saw the harms. I saw the lack of informed consent. Even when I asked what is in these shots, is aluminum in them? The doctor said no. And I saw when COVID happened, I absolutely refused for the same thing to happen again. And so I stood up with my husband and we joined Feds for Freedom and then became a big part of Feds for Freedom. I do it because I will not see any more people hurt by these toxins.
Stephanie, you're an amazing human being. We love you dearly and we're so grateful for absolutely everything you're doing. Thank you. And I hope your event is brilliant. I know our viewers will be joining that event if they can. But thank you for all the work that you do and just standing shoulder to shoulder with us at Children's Health Defense. Yeah, we're so grateful to you.
Thank you, Polly. Right back at you.
All right. Well, you're welcome on CHD TV anytime. Just let us know if you've got any more update. And thank you for being there in DC with us. We just loved having you there.
Thank you, Polly.
All right, everyone. Now we're going to go to doctors and scientists with our very own Chief Scientific Officer, Brian Hooker.
Well, good morning, Children's Health Defense. It is your host, Dr. Brian Hooker. And if you're seeing my face, then it must be a Friday. Friday means it's time for my show, Doctors and Scientists. And about a week ago, I had a V8 moment, So anyhow, just a backstory, full disclosure, I was raised by television. So I spout television ads all the time. So I had one of those, I could have had a V8 moment. And I realized that our very, very wonderful friend, who has been so dear to Children's Health Defense, an amazing, amazing practitioner from San Antonio, Texas, has never been on Doctors and Scientists. So it's high time. Dr. Derek Gilroy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for putting up with me and finally getting your talents and your wisdom released to our audience.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Brian. It's perfect timing.
Well, I like to believe that. And I like to say, oh yeah, I meant that. I meant to wait this long, but I
Of
didn't.
course,
I didn't, full
it was
disclosure.
divine timing with Brian's perfect mind and schedule.
Exactly. Well, Derek is a practitioner. I would dare call you integrative practitioner, and with a wonderful practice in San Antonio, Texas. I've toured your facility. I mean, you do everything, and you don't leave anything on the table. I've seen you in action. I've seen you in action even with my own son, and you put everything out there, and I so appreciate it. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about your background and how you became such an antithesis to the medical world as we know it.
Well, thank you, Brian, so much for that. I, I was a patient a long time before I was a doctor, and I was born sick with irritable bowel syndrome. I started having seizures as a teenager, and none of the doctors could help me. I kept asking them, why am I having seizures and why do I have diarrhea 10, 20 times a day? And they didn't answer my questions. So my curiosity for asking the right questions began at a very early age and sort of led me into medicine to ask that question, why are people so sick? And my mission in life is to be an instrument of healing for people and for the world by exposing and effectively treating the underlying causes of disease. And my big project is really starting this year, which is what I call the total reinvention of medicine. And we can do this by gathering together and in communities everywhere, all across the nation and the world, focusing on the tools that create health and leaving everything else alone. So, my background I'm board certified in emergency medicine. I have been since 2005 when I finished residency in 2004. And I've been practicing what I call root causes medicine since before I became a doctor, when I was treating my own illness as a teenager. And so I treat babies, I treat 95-year-olds, I treat asthma, eczema, Alzheimer's, cancer, Parkinson's, ALS, and everything in between, because our bodies have an incredible capacity to heal when we provide everything they need and remove everything they don't.
Absolutely. And you treat autism as well, for
Of
which I'm
course,
very,
of course, yeah. Sorry I didn't mention. That's one of the A's.
it's one of the A's. Yeah, it was in there. Um, but no, and I'm so thankful for that, because you don't leave things on the table, and you look very, very diligently at what's going on. You're looking deep. And we went through my son's genotype. I've never, when we did the intake, I've never seen so much blood in a little pan in these little vials as what was drawn from my son. Full disclosure, he is an adult. He weighs over 200 pounds. It was not that much blood, really. But it was such a thorough run up, and it was such a differential diagnosis. When you stare deep into all this information, what are you seeing?
Hmm. Boy, that's a great question. And human health and disease is so complex, but it really we this has been my mission. Part of it is to simplify everything,
Right.
because for thousands of years we have not had even a basic understanding of biochemistry. And what parents need to understand is that they do have the power to have a major impact on quality of life for everyone when you get it right, when you do enough work. So I look at everything that I have ever found to be helpful in many patients with autism and other conditions. It's a simple mercury toxicity problem. In other patients, it's a genetic predisposition with a metabolism. In other people, it's infections. In some, it's a combination of both. So we have to dive really deep and spend a lot of time thinking. And then we do everything we can. And I have seen magical recoveries that people wouldn't believe. And, I've also seen people struggle for a long time. And sometimes we know why, and other times we don't. But I'm always hopeful. Always hope. I never run out of hope because our bodies were created to heal. And as long as we put in the effort, people get well.
Absolutely. And one of the things that our viewers need to check out was the panel discussion that you did at the last autism conference that we had in 2025. Absolutely amazing. You put the power back in our hands. And, I've heard you say this many times, that you are you're empowering, or you're giving the patients back the power to allow their own bodies to heal. Unpack that a little bit more for me, because we want to be able to allow our bodies to do what they naturally are supposed to do, the way that they're naturally supposed to function. And it seems like so much of what we deal with is sort of iatrogenic crud that we're kind of sloughing off the residue. What do you mean when we're giving the body, its power to heal? Unpack that a little bit for me.
That's a great question. So this is the subject of my book that's coming out next year, which tries to simplify the causes of disease as much as possible to give power back to people. So really, when you boil it all down, there are only two causes for all disease, and that's deficiency and toxicity. So deficiency is that word that describes everything that your body needs that it doesn't have, and toxicity is everything that your body has that it doesn't need. So all I do all day is try to figure out what needs to be replaced and what needs to be removed. Now, those are really, really broad categories. But when you have this framework that allows a place for everything, it empowers people to make choices, because we are always choosing, whether we acknowledge it or not. What do I need more of? What do I need less of? Do I need more of this screen time or less? Do I need more of this ice cream or less? Do I need more sunshine and grounding and a loving connection with people I care about? Or do I need isolation and medication and more vaccinations? Do I need 95 vaccinations now, or do I need less? So see, we're always making that decision every minute of every day, is this little binary decision. And so that is the basic idea. And what I do, what me and my team do, is we get people in community with the right support and the right tools so that it's easier to make these decisions. In a clinic community in every city where people have access to clean food, clean water, the best products that support their body, and the emotional, spiritual connection with peace and contentment and gratitude. Like, that is such an essential piece for healing too. So this is the subject of my book and the community that I'm building over the rest of my life.
Right.
Because that's the solution that creates health. There is no other solution. It will never come out of Pfizer and Eli Lilly and Glaxo. It will never come out of MD Anderson or any other big center. We are the solution that creates health for our bodies and for our families and our communities. And that's it.
So you've got some big plans, dude. So you're talking about implementing this in multiple communities, I'm presuming in the US and beyond. I know you, so I'm going to say beyond. How do you see what you've built so far, and how what things would you like to replicate, as you're building this, more regionally, nationally, whatever?
Well, the most important thing, again, is just people believing that their body is wise. My body is wise. It's serving my highest good. It's not trying to harm me. And when we get together and believe that together with the right tools, man, we're going to be able to change the course of human history. So, yeah, this is the main thing that I'm focusing on. So for the longest time, for the last 20 years, I've been figuring out the economic model. You know, how do we create health for large numbers of people? And so, my next step is we're still getting everything ready. And then we release the book, and then we collaborate with doctors all over, and we create our own system. Because there's no Superman coming to save us from any government or any corporation. There isn't. And I'm going to stop asking them to do it. And of course, I'm not going to work against the system. I'll support Bobby Kennedy and everyone else that's really interested in creating health. And I'm a big supporter of him and everyone in his team. But we're going to keep working. These conversations, the conference that you guys had in Austin, doing that more often, connecting together,
Right.
providing people solutions privately within our own ecosystem, that's the solution.
And when you're with those like-minded individuals that will believe with you, that your body is intricately made, that it is restorative. There's health, just in that. But when you're dealing with, I mean, you've seen a lot, and having gotten a tour of your clinic, when I was down in San Antonio, I saw that you were treating a lot of maladies and disorders. When somebody comes into your office, what is the top 3 things that you see that are holding those patients back from being able to be restored, being able to be whole, whether it be cancer, whether it be autism, whether it be Alzheimer's? What are the biggest impediments? Are they the sins of commission, toxins invading? Are they the sins of omission, nutrient deficiencies? What do you think the biggest lacks are?
It's really hard to pin down, the top 3. If I had to, it's the chemical and the toxic exposures, including the vaccines. And so, anything that's toxic, anything that you don't need, right? That's not serving your interest. This is a toxin. So that's infections, that's chemicals, it's radiation, it's electromagnetic fields, and it's emotional spiritual toxicity, which I call, that's my word for stress. So I don't like to say stress. So anger, fear, worry, resentment, shame, guilt, these are poisoning our bodies. So if I had to name one thing that is the most important thing, it's detoxification. Because, this has been proven true since my very beginning doing this. If I didn't know what to do, and I've treated many, many patients with a complex disease that didn't even have a name for it yet. When I didn't know what to do, if I just detoxified them in combination with really good food, people would get well. Of course, that all starts with mindset, because we cannot heal if we are stewing with anger. So I see a lot of patients right now that are with cancer, and the primary limiting factor for them is the emotional spiritual toxicity of resentment, anger, shame, guilt. So, people that made a decision that caused their cancer, man, they've got shame just all over their cells. And people that were forced into a decision that then got cancer, they're angry and resentful. We've got to detoxify those toxins really first, because the body always follows the mind and the spirit. So
Right.
if I'm in my mind, if I'm constantly replaying the anger and the shame, my body cannot heal.
This is gold. It really is. Everybody, Derek, needs to hear this because it's so essential and vital that you are emotionally free for your
Hmm.
body to heal, for your body to heal. One of the things that one year I've taught microbiology at the university where I retired. I taught it for 15 years straight. Once a year, 15 years straight. And so the second year that I taught it, I said, I'm going to teach Basham. Okay, sure, we can talk about Pasteur. We can talk about how he's a butthead, excuse me. But we, I'm going to teach Basham this time. And one of the biggest things that Basham really pushes down on is toxic emotions. And
Hmm.
and it sort of hit me like a ton of brick. Oh yeah, you can't really have physical health if you don't have emotional and spiritual health. You cannot. Um, and so I'm so
So true.
glad that that's like the first roadblock that you identify with that. And in terms of like causing the cancer, I mean, you don't need to give me that big of an opening, Derek. So I'm going to talk about vaccines. Do you when we talk these these turbo cancers, and I don't want to use that word as a cliche or whatever, but these cancers, these rare cancers that are popping up in individuals that are very, very young, relative to the population that used to be coming down with these cancers. What are you seeing with that? I mean, I promise we will only focus on the problem for a little bit. We will get back to the solution. But what types of things are you seeing? With the injections, with the virus itself. I don't know. Maybe the virus brings on cancer as well. But what are some of the things that you're seeing specifically with the COVID shot?
You bring up a great point, and yes, that's true. We do know, or we have some evidence that shows, viral particles. Regardless of what you think about viral particles, there's an
Right.
argument about that. But just basics, right? HPV associated cancers, squamous cell cancers of the throat, HPV associated cervical cancer. We know these viral particles seem to be associated with some cancers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the COVID shot specifically, there are multiple mechanisms where this can potentially contribute to cancer, right? I think the most important one, it seems to me in my practice right now, is everyone is immune suppressed because of the COVID shot, or so for me, like I didn't take the shot, but I'm immune suppressed because of the chemicals in the environment, because of the
Mm-hmm.
mold toxin I'm exposed to. So we have to change the way we think about the general population, and the immune suppression is the primary driver of all these tumors in my opinion, in my experience. So
Right.
some of these patients have infections. Many of them have fungal infections. Many of those fungal infections are pan drug resistant. So, as a microbiologist, you're well aware of the antimicrobial resistance problem, which is a worldwide catastrophe really caused by antibiotics, mostly in animal feed, but also just the widespread use of antibiotics in hospitals and nursing homes and in the community. And so, previously in my training in medical school, patients that got some of these fungal infections, you had to be a transplant patient, an HIV/AIDS patient, um, or severely immune suppressed for some other reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing these infections and these cancers associated with these infections in the general population, including young people. And it's the primary mechanism, I think, is the immune suppression. You could call it immune dysregulation. Some people really hate when I say immune suppression because, like, some of these people have leukemias with really, really high white counts, right?
Right.
Immune dysregulation is a better word, but it's inappropriate immune system activation where the system can't seem to see what's important and what's not important. And we're seeing that a lot more commonly in people who received multiple COVID vaccines. And, the worse it is, it seems like that in
Right.
my experience. Again, this isn't data collection, but yeah, in our experience, we're seeing a lot of those people.
Well, I think it makes perfect sense. We've seen even the open literature, the study that came out of the Cleveland Clinic, it's probably about a year and a half old now, where the more boosters the individuals got, the more susceptible they were to getting COVID. So every time they were getting a booster shot, their innate immune system was taking a hit. And we need our innate immune system to surveil, cancerous, precancerous cells. So, what you're saying makes absolute perfect sense. Are these cancers associated with different types of infections or in general, or are you seeing just soup to nuts or I'm always interested in fungal infections. I know that, like aflatoxin that comes from fungus that grows in peanuts causes cancer, it's carcinogenic. So there are other, fungal metabolites that are carcinogenic. Is that kind of the origin that you're seeing these cancers come from?
There's definitely a trend
Okay.
toward the invasive fungal species in some of these cancers. And I mean, 10 years ago, I never saw anything like this. But a lot of these patients have obvious fungal infections. Some of them have laboratory confirmed fungal infections. And others, it's less clear,
Hmm.
but I still think that that's playing a part. We know how important the microbiome is, right? The whole biome, not just in the gut, but everywhere. And so I do think that that's playing a major part. And the good news, again, to go back on solutions, is our immune systems have the capacity to deal with these problems
Right.
where no drug could ever deal with the problem. The thing that caused the problem cannot fix the problem. There isn't a drug that will overcome the drug resistance problem in microbes. But your immune system was created with the capacity to deal with them, including the cancers. And that's the only thing that I've seen consistently take tumors away. When we do really good immune system treatment, that's where magic happens in people with cancer.
I find myself saying this over and over again and talking to you. That really makes good sense that you can restore the immune system. The thing about the body is that it does bounce back. Now, when you are restoring the immune system, are you what primarily are you doing without giving out the secret sauce? What primarily are you doing in order to unblock that immune system? Are you removing the toxins in the environment? Are you giving good food, things like that? What are the things that are working?
Yeah, so it depends on the patient, but the
Right.
simple version is we remove everything that needs to be removed, we supply everything that needs to be supplied, and we do targeted support. So this is my treatment plan for everyone: nourish, detox, target. Those are the only three words that anybody needs to know to prevent disease, to maximize vitality, longevity, and to treat disease. Nourish mind, body, and spirit. Detoxify mind, body, and spirit, and then targets. So the targets are what depends on the patient, right? So
Right.
I use anything and everything that I need to use that the patient is able to do when they come into my office, including peptides. We use herbs, we use mistletoe. I use a lot of mistletoe. This is a common treatment in Europe. It's used in hospitals in Europe to support the immune system. We use
Hmm.
immune supportive peptides. We use fever. So I get my patients in my special sauna, and we raise the body temperature as much as we can that's tolerable and safe. And those things, so I use oxygen, I use peptides, I use good nutrition, good detoxification, all those things comprehensively plus fever is what I have seen make tumors go away.
Fever making tumors go away. That
Yeah, so
is that's genius, okay? Because we know that those cells are temperature sensitive. How do you do that? I mean, outside of sticking somebody in a sauna, which probably works, but yes.
I do it every way that I can. Like, this is the original pioneer on this was Colley. Dr. Colley noticed that his patients with bone mostly bone tumors.
Right.
This was a long time ago, late 1800s, early 1900s. The patients that got septic and didn't die, their tumors went away.
Wow.
And so he said, he's like, this seems weird. So he started giving people what's called Colley's toxin, which was basically inactivated bacterial fragments. When you inject it into a person, their body gets a really bad fever, or really high fever. I shouldn't say bad, it's good.
Right.
A high fever. And it worked. In some patients, their tumors would go away. So, I use mistletoe when you do it correctly, will give a patient a fever. Peptides that we use will give a patient a fever, and then sauna. And so we use these multiple pieces of a puzzle together to try to, I call it immune system recognition therapy, because people with tumors, their immune system cannot see the tumor. So what I want to do is I want to just open the eyes of the immune system, take the invisibility cloak off, and the thing that does that best is a high fever. If I get patients to 106-degree fever, I'm involved in a research project with some really brilliant doctors. His name's Roger Vertrees, is the PhD. He has a company called Verthermia, Verthermia. Verthermia. We, in an operating room, will general anesthesia. We will sedate a person. We get their body temperature to 107 degrees. We keep it there for 2.5 hours, and then we slowly cool them off.
Wow.
At that temperature, it's very safe. Nothing bad happens. Many of those patients will go into remission. Now, that is a very expensive procedure, and it's research only, right?
Right.
But we've got some major success stories. What I'm trying to do is replicate that at a scale that's cost conscious and safe. And I've done it myself. 106-degree fever is uncomfortable, and it's also invigorating.
Oh my goodness. You've left no stone unturned, and I really appreciate that. I want more people to check out what you're doing. I want more practitioners to check out what the difference is, what the differences are. So where can they go to find more information about you and your practice?
The two best places are rootcauses.com and rootcauses.org. .org is my foundation. It links to one of the movies that I made. People can donate to support the cause. Rootcauses.com is the clinic website. And we'll have some more links coming out as the book is released. And we want to connect with people in community everywhere. Because, like I said, like your community that you have, Children's Health Defense community, is an amazing community. It's so energizing to me when I'm around people that do this work. And so we just have to stay connected.
You. We really do. Well, Derek, Dr. Gilroy, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom, your encouragement to us, and thank you for serving the public the way you do.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for all you do. I love working with you. We've got some cool stuff happening at CHD too on the scientific advisory board.
Yes, Derek, you're a part of our scientific advisory panel board, whatever they call it. And the scientific advisory panel oversees the different work that we do. Right now, we've got Dr. John Van Zant, who's also on the panel, as well as Martha Herbert, who is a distinguished researcher from Harvard University on the scientific advisory panel. And we value your input. We value the time that we get to spend with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us for this important episode. Share this episode with everybody so they can see Dr. Gilroy's fantastic work, rootcauses.com and rootcauses.org. You have a wonderful Friday.
We are live. Tell us your name, please.
Hi, my name is Selena, and this is Jesse, and this is Luke.
And how old is Jesse and Luke?
They are 16 and a half.
Twins.
Double trouble.
Double trouble. Okay, so we have done their story. We did it on the first Facts Fast, but we're going to do it again briefly, and then we're going to talk about how you work from there to here. In fact, you've got a picture. Can you actually bring that picture up?
Sure.
So this was in 2016. I don't know if you can see that, but I did. This is when we were all much younger. I don't know if it's really focusing. There we go. There they are. And now look at them now. There we are. Okay. Mama, tell the story.
Well, you know, we kind of got roped into not doing things so mainstream. You know, we had to make our own baby food. We ended up making our own diapers. They had all this horrible reflux and screaming and crying.
Okay, let's go back a little bit though, because when you were pregnant with them, did you get any vaccines or anything?
I can't remember. It's possible I had a flu shot, but I don't actually know.
So they were up to date on schedule as recommended?
Always, yeah. And actually, we almost didn't have our 5-year shots. I didn't know about them. We had not been doing the well baby visits because everything was fine, and they were already having some ADHD issues. We decided to homeschool, and the umbrella school we decided to use said we need either your vaccine record or an exemption, and I didn't know what an exemption was, and I didn't even see that part in the email. I still have the email. So I promptly took them to the doctor and got them their 5-year shots. And
do you remember what they were?
I know the MMR was in one of them. If I could poke around in my phone and find out, but it was definitely the MMR and a few other things. So they were already having food allergies. We had already done gluten-free and dairy-free. You know, sleep was always an issue, especially Jesse. And he quit talking and quit making eye contact. And
After the 5-year shots?
well, we had a flu shot in there too.
Uh-oh.
So, and right after that, I think. I don't know if it was the same day or within a few weeks. And then Luke could not walk. Like, I had to carry him everywhere for 2 days. And he, you know, they're tall. I know you can't tell that, but they're both about 6'3".
5's old to be carrying 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
He couldn't walk. And I had the same batch of flu shot, and I was head to toe in hives. I've still got scars from some punch biopsies. That was a really weird, time. And, you know, the gastrointestinal stuff started, the behavioral stuff started, screaming, and, you know, Jesse was not able to talk. So it was frustrating for him because he couldn't communicate. And so he would scream and hit. I know that's pretty common. And then about that was 2012. 2013, I sold a homeschool curriculum to this girl, and somehow Facebook friended her, and I don't do that, but she posted something about MTHFR and basically, hey, you can take some supplements and get rid of, you know, autism, or, you know, it was a whole long list of stuff, and I'm like, well, that's my whole family tree right there. So we just started taking some supplements, and all of a sudden he's talking and making eye contact. He's feeling better just with B vitamins.
And what about diet? Did you do diet?
We had been doing diet.
Right.
We had been gluten-free, dairy-free. It didn't hurt, but, well, actually he was psychotic coming off of wheat, which I was told was, he needed to be off of it. I remember him lying on the bed trying to kick a hole in the wall.
Oh yeah, I understand that when I came off wheat. It's like a drug. Gluten.
I didn't know. Nobody warned me, and after it was happening, my friend's like, "Oh yeah, that's." I was like, "Oh well, yeah."
Are you still off it?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Stay off it.
Strict.
trust me.
I intend to.
Yeah.
They are very compliant with diet because their reactions are extreme when they are not. You know, they can cheat with like corn or.
Again, we're not giving out medical advice. I say this all day.
Of course
every day.
not.
No, Children's Health Defence doesn't do that. Nor do these people. We're just talking about their experiences and what does and doesn't work. All of us together, but we're not representing Children's Health Defence's decisions or thoughts or whatever. Anyway, moving on.
So we had family photos. For our wedding anniversary. And then a few months later, we had them in the fall. And my friend, I had a good friend that was just doing all our photos. She goes, "This is not the same child. What did you do to him?" I was like, "Vitamins." Oh my gosh. And then we just went from there. We've been through the whole Lyme and co-infections deal, chronic viruses deal. We've done heavy metal chelation. Jesse's done IV chelation. Luke and I got long COVID and had to do several rounds of IV ozone. Sitting next to your children while they have IVs hooked up to them. When you have an IV hooked up to them, that is I'm telling you, these are some tough dudes. These are some tough dudes, and I love them, and I'm so proud of them. So, you know, we've done a lot. We had a doctor back in the Memphis area that really believed in us and really helped us. He's not able to do that right now. I don't actually know that whole story, but he will be back to doing Lyme stuff eventually, I'm sure. We moved here to Chattanooga area. Moved here to be with a congregation we were worshiping with, and we have an amazing rabbi. He really is good with counseling and trying to, that's my alarm, trying to get us just to be adults and behave. And so having him to talk to has helped them. We found a therapist that we really love. And my husband is amazing. He is, you know, I know a lot of husbands aren't on board, but I have the most amazing husband in the world, and he's also really cute.
He. Your dad.
Yes.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He has been our rock.
Good.
Always, and he's always just supported us and paid for this stuff and helped. I mean, because I've been very, 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 very sick. I was bedridden for a long time, and he just does everything. It has to be done, so he just does it.
Well, let's talk to the boys for a second then, shall we?
Okay.
How do you remember, either of you remember some of the stuff? Do you remember feeling ill? Do you remember feeling, because this is going to help other people?
I remember very early in my life always having headaches and being in a lot of pain. My memories of that time are very hazy, but I do remember being in a lot of pain for most of the early parts of my life.
Yeah.
He probably had a stroke with the first MMR, a mild one, and we didn't know it. He had some eye issues and some other issues the next day, and I didn't know. I thought it was a behavioral something.
Yeah.
Do you
So
still have pain now?
Not only when I don't take care of my blood sugar, but that's another thing entirely.
Mm-hmm. Are you at school?
No, we're
Oh,
homeschooled.
that's nice. Good job, good job. What about you?
My memories of that time are also quite vague. I don't ever remember some of the things Mom describes happening to me, but I mean, I believe some of them happened.
he just kind of woke up. He doesn't remember a lot of it, and Luke has had a lot of trauma trying to take care of him because he was more neurotypical. His stuff was more body fibromyalgia stuff, and his was like not able to comprehend fast enough. And so we've had a therapist that's helped us deal with the trauma from that area, or from that time. And we're seeing.
How did you guys get through COVID? Were you pleased that you had woken up to the real reality of vaccinations?
Oh, no, I'm glad I woke up to it, but
I mean, the reality stinks. But I'm glad we're at least aware of it.
We just couldn't get excited about a virus because we'd been excited about all the viruses. It's like, this is just one more thing.
Yeah.
Now, it was pretty intense when we had it. The first time, we didn't even know, it didn't even have a name. He had, a sore throat and had some tea, and then he ended up with long COVID, and we didn't know for probably a year what was going on. So his immune system just did not handle it.
Right, but you didn't get the shot.
Oh.
So this is what I'm talking about. So whatever you've been through, which is awful, it educated us enough to know.
no, we hadn't
Not
had
to take
shots
the
for like
worst.
years.
Yeah. And you both know the dangers of vaccinations.
Yeah, and I also think it's rather stupid, so I'm not going to do something that's stupid in the first place.
Extremely stupid.
Now that we know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be, Luke?
I don't actually have anything in specific. I'm looking into being possibly a therapist or something in the psychological area.
Nice. Once you've been through something, it gives you. There's no better qualification than first-hand experience,
Yeah.
in my mind. What about you?
I want to be just a videographer running around the country, mostly photographing trains, since that's my passion. Has been for pretty much all my life.
Do you like steam trains?
Hell yeah.
I do too. I love steam. Everyone's in our family, we're obsessed with steam trains.
I grew up with them.
It's fascinating. Excellent. Well, it's been wonderful speaking to you all. Is there anything else you all want to say before we end this interview?
These two have been through so much, and they are hard-headed and strong-willed and loudmouthed and outspoken, and I'm so proud that they are mine.
Oh.
And
We're proud of you, boys.
we're proud of you, yeah.
Thank you. And you.
This and all CHD TV programming is made possible by generous support from viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution today to keep our programming going strong. Thank you.